Hello, my name is Lucy Dinsmore and I'm the Azalea Meadow Horticulturist at the Morris Arboretum. If you're looking for things to do around your garden right about now, while you're stuck at home, one of the great jobs is to cut back your dogwood shrubs. You may have noticed that some bushes and shrubs in the landscape don't have leaves yet, and that's because they're still coming out of their winter dormancy. And in the coming days and weeks, you'll see little leaves emerging on their stems. Some of the vigorous shrubs, like dogwoods and willows, are just about to push their leaves, so that's why it's a good time to prune them now, before they've put all that energy into their leaf growth. As you know, we had a really mild winter, which gave the horticulturists here at the Morris Arboretum plenty of time to do their winter pruning. I've already done a lot of pruning on dogwoods and willows, but there's still one left that I haven't pruned yet, and that's a midwinter fire dogwood. So I want to show you how I'm going to do that now. Cornus sanguinea midwinter fire, also known as midwinter fire dogwood. This is a shrubby dogwood. As you can see here, it's about 7 feet tall. And here are my tools ready for action. I've got a lopper, got my pruning saw, and my pruning shears. Now, you may be asking, why would I want to prune back a shrub that's so beautiful right now and has such beautiful stems? Well, dogwoods have the best color on their younger stems. As they get older, they get a little darker and they fade, and they might get some callousing on them. In order to encourage the new colorful growth, I want to cut back all the stems to a framework. Today, we're going to prune back this tall, about 7 foot tall shrub all the way down to a framework. And as you can see, in the past, this is where I've pruned it to. And you can see some other cuts I've made, like here. First things I want to look at when I'm pruning are the 3 Ds: dead, dying, or diseased. As I look at this, I see some dead. I see some dead here. I might see some diseased stems. This stem is dying. It may be a little diseased. You want to notice this before you prune is to observe how the plant has healed from previous pruning cuts. Last year, I made this cut here. And you can see that this plant didn't do a very good job at callousing over its wounds. It actually died back all the way to here. And if you look elsewhere, like on this piece, I pruned it up here and the plant died back all the way to here. So I might want to keep that in mind in thinking about where I prune this plant. Now, that's not typical of the red twig dogwoods that I've pruned in the past few days. This plant is a little more finicky. It does have beautiful yellowy orange stems though. So I'm still going to prune it, but I just have to be a little more careful in pruning this one about how I make my cuts. Something else we're going to look at is where the nodes are in this plant, because that's where it's going to push its new growth from. And dogwoods have opposite nodes, meaning they're placed on opposite sides of the stem from each other. Let me show you a good one. Here's one. So you can see this is the node, and it's like a swollen knuckle, like on your finger. And the nodes fall opposite from each other. On other plants, they might be alternate, so it might be here and here. So dogwoods, they're opposite. So they're going to push their growth from here. So when I make my pruning cut, I want to go just above that. If I go below that, then the plant is going to want to push its growth from the node below that. So let's see where to begin. Begin with that dead and dying bit of the plant. So I'll snip this off, because that's in the way of my saw. And then I want to saw out this dead piece. This is too hard to do with one hand and holding a video, so I'm going to stop now. You want to make sure that your tools are really sharp when you're pruning something. And usually the winter is a great time to sharpen your tools, which we did, so they're all ready to go. Now, in choosing between which tool to use, I'll use my pruning shears for anything less than an inch in diameter, and maybe even less, because my hands definitely aren't as strong as they used to be. So I typically want to go for things about half an inch in diameter for sure. Anything bigger, I'll use my saw or my lopper. And in choosing which to use, you want to think about access. How are you going to get in this plant and prune the branches? Are you going to be able to do it better with a saw or with your loppers? Another thing to consider is that loppers sometimes can crush a stem, whereas a pruning saw can make a cleaner cut. So if you have a more valuable plant and you're worried about it, you might want to use a good saw instead of a lopper, especially if your loppers aren't sharp. Here you can see I've made some cuts already. Here's one stem, and the node is here, so I cut just above that. Now, on another kind of dogwood, like a red twig dogwood, which heals a little bit better, I might have cut it all the way down to here and only left about a 2-inch piece of stem showing. But I know that this plant doesn't really heal well, so I'm going to cut a little bit higher. Let's keep going. Eye protection. Put them on. The last thing you want to do is poke yourself in the eye with a stem or a branch, have to go to the hospital during this coronavirus scare, and deal with all that. So be cool, wear the eye protection. It's gonna potentially save your life. Actually gonna go hard with my pruning on this stem. So I see a node down about here. So I'm gonna cut just above that here and get this to branch a little bit lower. It looks just like a very stumpy kind of dead thing, but I know from year after year of pruning this that it's gonna grow healthy and happy over the course of this spring. And here's what we're left with to take to the compost heap. All those branches. Fast-growing shrubs, like other kinds of dogwoods, and some willows, which is when you cut off the tip of it, the base of it, and then you just push it into the ground, and what happens is the plant will root in and create a new shrub for you. And that's what we've done here with Cornus alba, a red twig dogwood. And we live staked these a couple weeks ago, and you can see it's already leafing out. So I know that this is alive, even though what we started with was a heap of sticks just like this. And here's a perfect example of live staking in action. These red twig dogwoods that are growing along the stream of Paper Mill Run by the pump house were actually installed from live stakes. That's it for my demonstration on pruning. Hopefully you feel a little emboldened to go out there and prune some of the shrubs that you've been wanting to cut back for a while, like dogwoods and willows. And don't forget, eye protection is key, and so are sharp tools, a good attitude, and we miss you here at the Arboretum. I wish you could be visiting. We miss working here as well, but take care, practice social distancing, and enjoy nature.